On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Stephen Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million.
And he had been giving him 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000 to, he had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to chill on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters.
Al Heyman was so good at his job, yes, that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm
overpaid.
happy for every dollar we made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace.
My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity, you ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport because of money.
Crawford beat your ass. That's the brutal line 50 Cent used while taking another shot at Floyd Mayweather. But behind the jokes and insults is a much more serious story, one that leads straight to a jaw-dropping $340 million lawsuit. What makes this case so explosive is the size of the allegations. Floyd Mayweather is not simply claiming that a few numbers were entered incorrectly or that some accounting mistakes were made. He is alleging that a much larger financial scheme was carried out over several years. According to the lawsuit, money connected to some of the biggest events in combat sports history allegedly disappeared from the financial records, including the massive Conor McGregor crossover fight that broke pay-per-view records. Now, the undefeated boxing legend is claiming that the truth may have been hidden in front of him all along.
Floyd is stepping into the courtroom to fight for money he claims that he was never paid, and he wants justice on his terms. So let's talk details. Let me tell you about the lawsuits. On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Stephen Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million. Mayweather says the money is still missing and unaccounted for, and he's now suing Showtime and Espinoza for aiding and abetting breach of fiduciary duty, civil conspiracy to commit fraud. Ooh, that's...
At the center of the controversy is Al Heyman, who was once one of Mayweather's closest advisors and most important figures in his career. The lawsuit presents a serious accusation of betrayal, claiming that fight-related revenue was secretly redirected, while Floyd allegedly remained unaware of the complete financial situation. The filing points to partial documents, missing records, and accounts that were allegedly never fully explained. According to the claims, these issues prevented Mayweather from seeing the entire picture of where his money was going. For a fighter who built his entire career around control, discipline, and knowing every detail of his business, these allegations strike directly at the foundation of the empire he created.
Floyd argues that during his legendary career, where he generated $1 billion in revenue plus and pay-per-view money, a significant portion of the funds that he made through those events, through his fights, didn't make it into his hands because they were funneled through accounts controlled by his then advisor, Al Heyman. Now, Mayweather says that Showtime delivered those checks and funds through systems that helped Heyman get the money instead of paying Floyd directly. The lawsuit also points to some of boxing's biggest pay-per-view fights, including fights against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, events that generated hundreds of millions in revenue. Mayweather's legal team said he generated hundreds of millions in revenue for Showtime and now wants to recover what he claims was unfairly taken.
The situation became even more suspicious after Mayweather's new team began demanding greater transparency. Once Richard Schaefer and his representatives pushed for a complete financial explanation, Showtime reportedly failed to provide all of the information they were seeking. The biggest concerns reportedly involved the financial details surrounding the Manny Pacquiao mega fight and the Conor McGregor crossover event. These were two of the most financially successful fights in boxing history, generating enormous amounts of money. Yet according to the lawsuit, the figures presented did not fully explain where all of that money went. The more questions were asked, the more complicated the situation appeared to become.
Al Heyman himself, the advisor that Mayweather blames for the missing money, is not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. Instead, Mayweather's legal action targets the network and Stephen Espinoza. He claims they aided and abetted these alleged financial wrongdoings. So what does this mean, and what's like a potential outcome for this case that's coming up? Well, the lawsuit could have some pretty serious implications, not only for Floyd's legacy, but also for how networks and advisors handle fighter compensations. Mayweather wants hundreds of millions back, plus punitive damages, pushing this beyond a simple accounting dispute. If the court rules in his favor, it could open the door to more scrutiny of boxing's behind-the-scenes financial relationships.
Now, this legal fight has the potential to reveal what was really happening behind the scenes during some of boxing's biggest paydays. With $340 million allegedly unaccounted for and the possibility of even greater damages being claimed, the case could create major consequences throughout the sport. These are not small financial questions. The allegations involve huge events, powerful people, and enormous amounts of money. And while fans try to understand what the lawsuit could mean, figures like 50 Cent are making the entire situation even louder. What started as a serious financial dispute has quickly turned into a massive public spectacle, with reputations and legacies now being placed under intense pressure.
You had a boxing promotion company once.
Yeah.
What happened with the boxing promotion company?
That really happened, Ken, because of my relationship with Floyd. You know what I mean? I didn't have interest in being a promoter, like, out the gate. It was just, he was doing Mayweather promotions at the time. And then he had to do 90 days. He was going to jail. And he had fighters, he had Marcus Gamboa, he had guys that was just lingering. I'm like, champ, if they're gonna go, they're gonna leave. If you go to jail, they're just gonna leave. Like,
Right.
and he had been giving them 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. He had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to chill on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters.
Right.
And so Marcus Gamboa, I had James Kirkland, Andre Durrell, Billy Dipp, he was the IBF champion at that point, and then a few other guys younger guys that I picked up.
As expected, 50 Cent did not waste any time turning Floyd Mayweather's lawsuit into another opportunity for public ridicule. The rapper has been taking shots at Floyd for years, and this time he took things even further. Instead of simply making fun of Mayweather, 50 Cent suggested his own solution for recovering the missing $340 million. In his view, Floyd should return to the ring and take part in two huge fights that could immediately put him back at the center of the boxing world. He made the comments on Instagram, writing, "Oh no, don't cry now, champ. They beat you out of $320 million. You dumb. I told you, let me read the contracts. Now lace up. You gotta look good fighting. Mike, then maybe we can get Bud Terrence Crawford to beat you for some big money." And sitting right in the middle of this controversy is Al Heyman, a man Max Kellerman once described as one of the most powerful forces boxing has ever seen. Max argued that Heyman's influence changed the way the sport operated, and not always in a positive way. Fighters were often paid very well and received financial security early in their careers. At the same time, however, some of the biggest fights that fans wanted to see were delayed or never made at all. The business side of boxing became extremely successful, but that raised an important question. While the fighters were making more money, was boxing losing some of the competitive excitement that made the sport so special?
Al Heyman was so good at his job that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
We weren't getting
I'm happy
overpaid.
for every dollar you made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace than they actually were. And so now it became difficult to make fights.
I mean, you really want us to change our mindset, right? The fact that we were putting our health in jeopardy every time we stepped in that ring. So we had to make sure to get every penny that we could.
Andre Berto also entered the discussion and pointed out how complicated the situation was, especially when it came to the business side of professional boxing. Berto argued that Heyman's approach was not necessarily hurting fighters. In his opinion, the strategy was designed to protect them and make sure they were financially secure. Max Kellerman disagreed with parts of that argument, but acknowledged that Heyman's system had worked extremely well from Heyman's own business perspective. At the same time, Max continued to recognize the problems that fighters and fans face when major fights fail to happen. As the debate continued to grow, Turki Alashik entered the picture with a different approach, offering fighters bigger opportunities, major events, and a structure designed to make more high-profile matchups possible.
Every time we stepped in there, I mean, that's the mindset that he put in our minds on a regular basis.
And good for him. But when he does his job that well, then Andre Berto doesn't have to take the best fights to make the money, and now me as the consumer doesn't get to see the best Andre Berto fights. My point is, fighters started thinking that the market was different than it really was, because Al was juicing the market. In that climate, big fights stopped getting made, because fighters are thinking, I'm making all this money for not taking a risk. You want me to fight that killer, or their managers want me to fight that killer for not much more money? Into that terrible situation for the consumer stepped Turki Al-Sheikh, who said, oh, okay, wait, what are your petty differences? It's over $1 million or $2 million? Here it is. Here's my gift to the boxing world. Everyone, take this fight.
But this is where the situation becomes even more complicated. Even with Turki Al-Sheikh putting up the kind of money that can make major fights financially possible, some highly anticipated matchups are still not getting made. And that creates an even bigger question for boxing fans. Max Kellerman pointed specifically to the long-awaited Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Boots Ennis showdown. Fans have been demanding this fight for a long time, yet the matchup still has not materialized. Now, attention is also beginning to move toward Zuffa Boxing, a new promotional model that could potentially change the way the sport is structured. If it succeeds, it could introduce a very different approach to making fights, paying fighters, and building major events.
Now the problem is...
He's overpaying. Like I said, I'm not mad at that. If you're going to give me the money, we're going to fight whoever you want me to fight.
But Trey, now the problem is... Boots and Virgil can't get made for $6 million plus for the fighters? You think the average person on the street in this country knows who Boots and Virgil are?
At the same time, 50 Cent's latest comments raise an even bigger possibility. Could a fight between Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather actually be discussed behind the scenes? His comments have certainly given fans something to think about. While 50 Cent was clearly taking shots at Floyd, his suggestion also opened the door to speculation that something could potentially be developing behind the scenes that has brought Crawford and Mayweather back into the same conversation. Beneath all the jokes, insults, and social media exchanges is a much older debate about what could happen if these two boxing stars ever shared the ring. And now fans are wondering whether 50 Cent's latest comments are simply another troll, or whether they could be hinting at a plan that is already being discussed privately.
We've had a lot of comparisons between Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terrence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
yes,
fight.
Sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that
The
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah,
there's an OG
Somebody
somewhere.
got to pioneer it, right? Yeah, you got it.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere, and I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
On the other side of the argument, Terrence Crawford has shown very little interest in returning to boxing simply for another massive payday. Unlike Floyd Mayweather, Crawford has repeatedly made his position clear. Even if someone offered him $80 million or $100 million, he does not appear interested in making a comeback just for the money. For Crawford, returning solely to chase another giant check would go against what he believes his career is about. He has always presented himself as a fighter focused on competition, achievement, and proving himself at the highest level. In Crawford's eyes, he has already accomplished what he set out to do in boxing. Floyd Mayweather, meanwhile, has repeatedly returned for lucrative events, And those comebacks have played a major role in creating the money-focused reputation that now follows him.
My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity, you ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport because of money, you know? Of course, I was in a sport to make money, but I wanted to be a world champion. You know, I wanted to do something that I set my sights out to do as a little boy. Money wasn't the motivation. Me being a world champion was the motivation.